Alexandria. Ocasio-Cortez thought the cameras were her shield. She thought the studio lights were armor. She thought 8.7 million Instagram followers would form a human wall when she dropped the word dangerous on Tulsi Gabbard Live on CNN. It had always worked before. Progressive media would amplify the clip. Late-night hosts would turn it into punchlines. Within 48 hours, her target, Cruz, Green, some moderate Democrat, would be apologizing, scrambling, doing damage control. That script had never failed her. Tulsi Gabbard is not Ted Cruz. She is a lieutenant colonel who earned a combat medical badge while treating wounded soldiers under fire in Iraq. As Director of National Intelligence, she controls 18 agencies, $42 billion in classified budget, and every federal financial database on Earth. Type a name, hit enter, watch every Venmo, Zelle, Wire, and questionable dance coach payment scroll across the screen. She does not blink when she sees corruption. She destroys it, methodically, completely, on live television. So when AOC leaned into her mark, smiled bright, and said, "Dangerous," she detonated a claymore she never saw. The studio went silent. Not dramatic pause, silent, but convoy IED silent. Tapper froze. His producer screamed in his IFB to cut to commercial, but Tulsi had not moved. She sat perfectly still for 3 seconds. 1,000-yard stare locked on the Congresswoman, the same stare she wore in Fallujah, while a 19-year-old private bled out from ephemeral hit. Every veteran watching knew what came next. Tulsi reached into her briefcase, calm, combat room calm, and withdrew a slim folder. Ocasio-Cortez Ethics Overview, unclassified. She laid it on the desk the way a surgeon lines up scalpels. America leaned forward. "Congresswoman, since you question my integrity on live television, let's discuss your $35,000 unpaid Met Gala bill." The words landed Predator drone clean. No shout, no smirk, just documented House Ethics Committee findings read aloud in library tones. According to the report released July 25, 2025, Representative Ocasio-Cortez violated House rules by accepting gifts without paying full fair market value for her 2021 Met Gala appearance. She wore a tax the rich dress, while accepting $35 grand in services from millionaires she claims to oppose. That is only the opening paragraph. Tulsi produced a second folder, House Disbursement Records. Let's talk about how you spend taxpayer money. In December 2024, you used your member representational allowance, taxpayer funds meant for official business, to pay $3,700 to one Juan D. Gonzalez for dance training, plus $550 to Bombazo Dance Co. Those entities do not exist in any FEC database, any state corporate registry, any federal contractor list. Americans for Public Trust filed an ethics complaint alleging you disguised personal expenses as office costs. AOC's mouth opened. No sound came out. For the first time in 6 years, she was facing someone who did not care about her follower count, someone who could prove every syllable with documents stamped by the United States government. Tulsi closed the second folder and lifted a third, thicker, marked Classified, Financial Intelligence. She did not open it. She simply held it up. "I have not touched the classified material yet, Congresswoman. As DNI, I can trace international money movements, review law enforcement financial investigations, and access any records relevant to national security, including patterns of elected officials. Do you want to discuss what else I found when I ran your name through those systems?" The studio audience, hand-picked for political balance, sat frozen. They were watching something that never happens in American politics. A politician being forensically dismantled with evidence that cannot be spun. cannot be hashtagged away, cannot be hidden behind an Instagram filter. Tulsi stood, gathered her folders, and walked off the set, leaving Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez alone at the desk, career in ruins, future uncertain. No applause, no booing, just the silence that follows truth when it finally speaks. The clip hit 1 billion views in 48 hours. AOC destroyed trended #1, but the hashtags were irrelevant. The documents were public, the ethics referral was already filed, and the House Ethics Committee announced a formal reopening of its investigation within a week. Progressive media tried the usual spin: sexism, elitism, out of context. But every outlet that ran the documents side by side with AOC's old tweets looked ridiculous in real time. By sunrise the next day, moderate Democrats were privately thanking Tulsi for cleaning house. Republicans were calling her the most effective member of the cabinet. Independents were registering Tulsi-crat as a write-in option. Death threats started before she reached the parking garage. Her house was egged, then spray-painted, then shot at, twice. She requested no extra security for herself. She encrypted a tip line for whistleblowers and established a witness protection fund for congressional staff willing to come forward. Within 6 months, 23 members of Congress, both parties, faced active ethics inquiries. None of them could claim partisan witch hunt. The folders were alphabetized, not politicized. Washington tried every counter-move. Strip her budget. She spent less and exposed more. Hold hearings on weaponizing intelligence. She turned each hearing into a tutorial on forensic accounting. Accuse her of abuse of power. She released the unredacted calendars showing she had used only public documents and existing Treasury databases. Every attack became another stage. Every stage, another lesson. Receipts beat rage. Data beats drama. Calm beats chaos. Her approval numbers climbed to 68% nationwide. Polls showed 71% of Americans wanted more leaders like Tulsi. Not because she was perfect, she had never claimed to be, but because she had proven that one person with courage, clearance, and a folder of facts could still hold the powerful accountable and walk away unbought, unbowed, and uncancelled. The movement grew faster than any PAC or super PAC. Citizen watchdog groups copied her methods in state houses from Augusta to Sacramento. Freshman representatives started their terms by voluntarily publishing full expense logs. Veterans filed for office in record numbers, citing the Gabbard Standard. Lobbyists complained that Tulsi ruined the fun, which only proved she was doing it right. 1 year later, on the anniversary of the confrontation, Tulsi returned to Studio 3B, this time as a guest, not a combatant. Camera 3's tally light blinked red again, but the maple desk was gone, replaced by a simple table and 2 chairs. She placed a single manila envelope between them, unopened. The host asked if she planned to reveal new documents. She smiled, the small, tired smile of someone who has already won the only war that matters. "I don't need to open it," she said. "The envelope is empty, but the fear is full." Every member of Congress who watched what happened to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez now double-checks their disbursements before they file. That is the victory. The warrior does not need to keep fighting once the fraud decides honesty is the safer career move. She stood, left the envelope on the table, and walked out. The camera held on the blank flap for 5 full seconds. Long enough for every viewer to understand that the age of celebrity politics had ended the moment one combat veteran chose evidence over ego. The red light blinked off, the studio went dark, and the quiet that followed kept traveling. Subway car, dorm room, diner booth, polling place, reminding every American that when the warrior faces the fraud, the warrior always wins, and the Republic is better for it. That is the end of the story. It is also the beginning. The envelope stayed on the table for 47 minutes after the feed cut. A production assistant finally slipped it into her tote, meaning to toss it, but found herself carrying it home like a relic. She framed it, plain manila against white matte board, no caption, no date. It hangs above her desk now, a quiet warning to every Pole who wanders through her apartment for campaign fundraisers. The warrior does not need to open the folder again. The fear alone keeps receipts current. Meanwhile, Washington learned a new choreography. Before any expensive retreat, any donor weekend, any educational trip to Napa, staffers pull up Tulsi's monthly disclosure dump and run CTRLF on their boss's name. If it lights up, the trip is postponed due to scheduling. If it stays dark, they still submit extra paperwork, because the envelope might be blank today, but the database is updated every sunrise. Lobbyists call it the Gabbard discount. If a member demands a kickback, the going rate drops 30%, hush money baked into the bribe. K Street firms now hire forensic accountants the way they once hired bartenders. The smart ones keep a former Treasury analyst on retainer to scrub wire transfers before they happen. Corruption still pays, just less, and only in cash small enough to fit inside a greeting card. Tulsi took none of the victory lap money. Book offers hit 7 figures. She donated the advance to the whistleblower fund. Speaking circuits dangled private jet lifestyles. She drove her 2013 Honda to VFW halls and Rotary lunches. Expense reports in the trunk next to a case of water and a spare blouse. Every event ends the same. She sets the empty envelope on the podium, walks off before applause can warm the room. No autographs, no selfies, just the paper reminder that power is loaned, not owned. The first death threat arrived by courier, typed, single-space, DC postmark. She reported it, then released the letter publicly, redacting only the sender's obvious attempt to sound unhinged. Within 24 hours, the FBI had a suspect. Within 48, he was indicted. Tulsi waived protective detail for the trial, sat in the front row, stared the man down while the verdict was read. When reporters asked if she felt vindicated, she shrugged. "I've seen worse aim." The clip looped for a week, and every would-be attacker recalculated risk versus reward. Congress tried one last gambit, an amendment to the annual intel bill that would require the DNI to obtain bipartisan congressional consent before releasing any ethics referral to the public. The night before the vote, Tulsi uploaded every pending referral, redacted only for sources and methods, to a public server. The link crashed from traffic. The amendment died without a vote. A freshman Democrat was overheard in the elevator. She turned transparency into a weapon, and we handed her the ammo. States began copying the model. Montana passed the Gabbard rule. Any state legislator who accepts a gift over $50 must post the receipt within 72 hours or forfeit the per diem stipend. Illinois required every General Assembly expense to include a one-sentence public purpose. Vague entries are rejected by an automated system before reimbursement is even processed. New Hampshire's part-time legislature, paid $100 a year, now uploads cell phone photos of every free buffet. None of it is glamorous, but graft hates daylight, and daylight is cheap. The real legacy lives in recruitment offices. Military enlistment among women aged 18 to 24 spiked 14% the year after the confrontation. ROTC programs report cadets citing Lieutenant Colonel Gabbard as inspiration more often than any living general. The Navy christened a new intelligence vessel USNS Tulsi Gabbard, a quiet, steel acknowledgement that the best defense against corruption is a soldier who refuses to cash in. She will never run for president. She has said it plainly. The job I have is the one I swore an oath to: protect the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. The Oval Office already has plenty of applicants. The Constitution has only one director of national intelligence willing to treat every member of Congress like a potential threat to the Republic. Pollsters still test her name in hypothetical matchups. She polls north of 70% in every region, every age group. She ignores the numbers the way she ignores the death threats, calmly, completely, and without apology. On quiet nights, she drives to Arlington, walks Section 60, and leaves a coin on the grave of the private who bled out in Fallujah, the one whose femoral artery taught her that some wounds never close, some debts never settle. She does not speak. The envelope in her pocket stays sealed. The warrior does not need to reopen the folder. The fraud already knows the sound of paper sliding across wood, already hears the copper taste of accountability, already feels the quiet that never stops walking. And the quiet keeps walking, through Amtrak quiet cars, through Iowa caucus gyms, through donor retreats where the bar tabs suddenly match the posted receipts. It walks through freshman orientation, where new members receive a blank manila folder and a single-page handout titled "How to Stay Out of the Database." It walks through the dreams of interns who now double-check expense reports before they hit submit, through the nightmares of veterans who thought their war ended overseas only to find it continued on C-SPAN. One day, years from now, a child will ask why an empty envelope hangs in the National Archives beside the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. A guide will answer, because once upon a time, a soldier proved that paper beats lies, quiet beats noise, and one honest American can still make the powerful afraid of the dark. The warrior does not need to open the envelope again. The fraud already heard it speak, and the Republic, breathing easier, keeps the light on, just in case. The quiet turned into a rhythm, an arrhythmia at first, then a metronome the city could not shake. You heard it in the click of metro turnstiles that now matched the cadence of House voting bells. You felt it in the vibration of phones set to silent, every screen lighting up with the same push alert font. New Gabbard drop, receipts attached. Washington's heartbeat had been reset to the pace of one woman's calendar, and the town's insomniacs learned to count sheep in pages of disbursement logs. Tulsi kept the Honda. She also kept the same Capitol Hill parking spot, unmarked, outer perimeter, beneath a broken street lamp that no one ever fixed, because fixing things draws attention. At 05:43 most mornings, you could see her in the rear-view mirror, running a thumb along the sealed envelope on the passenger seat, checking that the glue still held. It was always empty, always sealed, always present, like a sidearm you hope never to draw. Staff joked that the car's real horsepower was the folder in the trunk. The engine just came along for the ride. Inside the dome, the envelope became currency. Freshmen now bartered with it. I'll co-sign your amendment if you walk with me past Gabbard's office holding one of those blank folders. Optics say I'm clean. They called it Manila swagger. Lobbyists kept stacks of them, personalized, heavy stock, gold foil logo, handing them out like business cards that whisper, "Don't worry, we've already pre-audited ourselves." Even the printers on K Street started charging a premium for watermarked stock. Nothing says ethical like paper that costs $4 a sheet. She never laughed at the theater, never scolded it. She simply published the next month's spreadsheet on the first business day at 800 Eastern, sharp. No rollout, no promo, just a clean CSV titled Q2 Expenditures Members that crashed the House Cloud server by 0807. By 0815, reporters had already found the outliers. By 0830, chiefs of staff were sprinting through marble corridors, waving printouts like surrender flags. The cycle became ritual. Release, scramble, explain, reform. Until the next quarter, when the ritual began again. Some members started pre-releasing their own spreadsheets the night before, desperate to control the narrative. Those spreadsheets were always prettier, always incomplete, and always too late. The envelope had taught them that paper confesses faster than speech. States kept experts at exporting the model. California passed envelope-grade legislation. Every county supervisor must upload receipts within 5 business days or lose the ability to place items on the agenda. Texas required every state agency purchase over 200 to include a photo of the item next to a ruler, proof of size and existence, the bill read. Florida's CFO started sending random text messages. Send location and selfie with the purchase. To auditors in the field, a geo-tagged spot check that made phantom expenditures evaporate. None of the laws carried her name. She never lobbied for them. They simply appeared, drafted by staffers who had watched the clip in college and decided that accountability looked cooler than influence. The threats escalated from spray paint to sophistication. A phishing email spoofed the House clerk's domain. Subject line, Urgent Ethics Subpoena. Attachment titled Gabbard Case 7443. She opened it on an air-gapped machine inside a skiff. The malware was state-level, Russian fingerprints mixed with outsourced code from a Balkan cottage industry. She forwarded the package to CISA, then held a press conference showing the metadata line by line, ending with, "If you are going to come for me, at least use original code." The clip played on loop. Within 24 hours, the campaign fizzled, servers wiped, Bitcoin wallets drained. The envelope stayed sealed. The hackers never figured out that the real weapon was the audience watching her dismantle their trap in real time. She began teaching a 1-credit seminar at Georgetown. Friday afternoons, no cameras, no press. Title on the syllabus, Forensic Accountability in Democratic Systems. The waitlist stretched to 2029. Veterans, policy nerds, and a surprising number of Instagram influencers filled the seats, all clutching blank manila folders like admission tickets. The final exam was simple. Pick any member of Congress, find one undisclosed gift, file the ethics complaint, document the outcome. Pass rate was 100%. Expulsion rate from the Hill was 12%. And climbing. She graded on accuracy, not style, because style is what got Washington into this mess. One night, a freshman senator, Harvard-educated, Silicon-funded, approval rating sculpted by data analytics, asked during office hours, "How do you sleep knowing half the town wants you destroyed?" Tulsi opened the desk drawer, pulled out the sealed envelope, set it between them. "I sleep next to this," she said. "Empty paper, full conscience. Try it sometime." The senator drove home, bought a pack of number 10s at a 24-hour CVS, sealed them blank, and stacked them on the nightstand like sleep aids. Within a month, she had pre-reported a lobbyist-funded spa weekend she had forgotten to disclose. The envelope became a Washington bedtime story. Once you realize the paper is watching, you stop writing stories you can't defend. The real power shift happened in campaign finance. Dark money groups tried to counter her by funding anti-accountability PACs with names like Freedom to Lead and Progress Without Paperwork. The donations were laundered through 501c4as, then through LLCs registered in Delaware. then through shell corporations in South Dakota. Layers like Russian dolls. Tulsi's office traced every wire, published the routing codes, and released a color-coded map that looked like a global plate of spaghetti. The clip hit TikTok. Gen Z interns in both parties started calling the PACs pasta parties and refused to work for candidates who took their money. Within 1 quarter, half the laundered funds were returned to donors, uncooked. The envelope had taught them that paper trails are gluten-free and impossible to digest. Overseas, allied intel services began copying the model. Estonia's Capo started publishing quarterly gift registers for MPs. Within a year, 3 cabinet ministers resigned over undeclared sauna upgrades. Australia's ASIO built a public dashboard tracking politician real estate transactions. The site crashed under traffic the day it launched. Even the Swiss, who once treated banking secrecy as national sport, passed a Gabbard clause requiring parliament members to disclose beneficial ownership of any account, anywhere, in any currency. Corruption went global. So did the antibody. Back home, the warrior kept her rhythm. 0543, Honda started, envelope checked, Arlington coin placed. Some mornings, she added a second coin. New name, new grave, new reminder that the cost of lying is measured in real blood, not polling points. The cemetery groundskeeper once asked if she wanted a logbook to track the coins. She declined. Memory is the only ledger that can't be hacked. The first member of Congress to beat her to the punch was a sophomore Republican from rural Illinois. He pre-released every expense down to the Diet Cokes, attached receipts, and challenged Tulsi to find fault. She reviewed the file, found nothing, and tweeted a single green check mark. His fundraising exploded. His town hall waitlist stretched around the block. Washington learned that transparency could be a superpower, but only if you lived clean enough to survive the spotlight. The envelope had created a new arms race, one where the only winning move is to have nothing to hide. She aged, but not in the way politicians do. No spray tan, no panic dye, no attempt to outrun the calendar. Gray streaked her ponytail like gunmetal ribbon. The Honda's odometer rolled past 200,000 miles. When reporters asked if she would ever write a memoir, she pointed to the monthly spreadsheets. Memoirs are about memory. That is memory. Print it if you want a book. No publisher ever got an advance. The spreadsheets are free, public, and more thrilling than any kiss and tell. The final shift was cultural. Comedians stopped treating politics as punchline fodder. The real joke was always the receipt you forgot to file. SNL ran a sketch where a devil-on-the-shoulder congressman debated stealing a private jet ride. The angel simply held up an envelope, and the devil evaporated in a puff of metadata. The laugh track was huge, but the message landed: corruption is no longer cute. It's cringe. Tulsi never watched the sketch. She was reviewing a new batch of whistleblower tips, coffee gone cold, high-beam eyes scanning for the next decimal point out of place. One December dawn, she arrived at Arlington to find a quarter resting on the headstone instead of the usual penny. Attached was a sticky note. L.T. Cole Gabbard, thank you for teaching us that honesty is a war we can still win. She pocketed the quarter, left her usual coin, and drove to the Capitol in silence. For the first time, she allowed herself a small, private smile. Not victory, but recognition that the quiet had become a chorus, and the chorus was singing in key. The envelope remains sealed. It always will. It no longer needs to be opened. The fear it generates is now self-sustaining, like a star that keeps burning after the match is blown out. Every member of Congress who files a clean report, every state senator who declines a lobbyist gift, every city council intern who demands a receipt before approving lunch. Each of them carries a tiny replica of that blank manila folder in their head. The warrior never has to draw her sword again. The sword is drawn every time honesty beats convenience, every time data beats spin, every time a single American decides that the shortest distance between corruption and consequence is a piece of paper they refuse to falsify. And so the quiet keeps walking through marble corridors, through suburban polling places, through the Honda's cracked windshield at Joe 543, reminding us that the Republic is not saved by heroes on horseback, but by citizens who choose one receipt at a time to make honesty the safest political strategy ever invented. The envelope is empty. The fear is full. The warrior is home. The war is forever. And we are finally, blessedly, winning. The Honda's odometer stopped at 315 miles, parked one last time on the cracked asphalt of Arlington's Section 60. Tulsi stepped out, envelope in hand, still sealed, still blank, and set it on the headstone of the 19-year-old who bled out in Fallujah. She pressed her coin beside it, stood at attention for 30 silent seconds, then walked away without looking back. No cameras, no press release, no tweet. Just the wind moving through white stones that now carry a new inscription. Here lies the fear that kept a republic honest. The envelope stays there, weathering seasons, glue slowly surrendering to rain and sun. Visitors sometimes find it, snap a photo, leave it untouched, because everyone now knows the ritual. The paper is empty, the warning is full, and the quiet that once walked through Washington has finally come home to stand guard forever. The warrior is done. The war is not. It lives in every receipt you refuse to fake, every gift you decline, every moment you choose truth over traction. And when your own heartbeat skips at the thought of cutting a corner, you'll feel the echo of that sealed flap, a small, dry whisper saying, "We are still watching. We always win."